The first time I brought a woman home, my wife Shen Yuan cornered me in the kitchen the next morning. Fresh off her run, her jacket was half unzipped, chest glistening with sweat. "Who was that girl last night?" "A colleague," I said. She chuckled, pinning me against the counter, pressing her body close, and whispered, "You've grown some guts, bringing a woman home." I smiled and pushed her off, pulling the milk from the fridge. Besides, I heard your old flame song Ming is returning soon. How do you still have time to worry about me?" Shen Yuan rolled her eyes and ignored me, brushing her damp bangs back. She set her glass on the table and headed to the bathroom. "Sort out your own breakfast." "Sure." As the door clicked shut, I leaned against the counter and smiled. Our marriage was a classic business alliance. When we were kids, a joke between our grandparents set us up as childhood. As our family's businesses grew, that joke became reality. Upon graduation, our parents made the decision and got us registered. Their excuse: love can be nurtured. Yet, after nearly a year, we haven't caught feelings, let alone slept together. In front of everyone, we're a model couple perfectly matched. But behind closed doors, we share a bed but live separate lives. I scroll on my phone, she scrolls on hers, occasionally swapping. We're evenly matched rivals. Yesterday, a new intern, Li Zhao, joined my company. She's pretty and sweet-talking, calling me big brother at every turn. When we left, she insisted her place was far and asked for a ride. Since it was on my way, I agreed. Once inside, she started. "It's so hot," she said, stripping off her jacket to reveal a tight sports bra. With the seatbelt buckled, her curves were hard to miss. She kept leaning in close to talk, her perfume filling the car. "Are you always this cold, big brother? What's your type?" She was acting cute and touching my arm. I kept my eyes on the road. "Quiet down. I'm driving. It's distracting," I warned, but she only laughed harder. We finally arrived at my building. I parked and unbuckled my seatbelt. "We're here." Li Zhao blinked, "But how do I get back?" I pointed to a shared bike by the road. Her smile froze instantly, though she tried to maintain her sweet face. "You're so funny." President Xiaxi giggled. Then she asked to use my restroom. Since we were right there, I didn't think twice and brought her up. But when the door opened, Shen Yuan was sitting on the sofa, scrolling on her phone. The moment she looked up, the silence was deafening. Li Zhao froze. "This is my wife," I said, changing my shoes. Shen Yuan leaned back with a smirk. "And this is our intern, Li Zhao," squeezed out a sweet smile. "Hello, sis." Shen Yuan nodded. "Restroom is on the left." The moment Li Zhao was out of sight, Shen Yuan turned to me, speaking slowly. "Your company has quite the hiring standards. Do you like sweet girls?" I put on my slippers, dropped the sarcasm. She smirked. "I'm praising you, big brother. You've got quite the charm." I ignored her. When Li Zhao came out, she hovered by the door. It's so late. I'm a bit scared to go back alone." I nodded. "True." Her eyes lit up. "Call an Uber. The company will reimburse it. Just make sure to get a receipt, or finance won't approve it." Her face went completely pale, but she forced a smile. "Thank you, President Xi." Beside me, Shen Yuan burst out laughing. I leaned against the door and waved to Li Zhao. "Safe travels." Shen Yuan is a classic career woman, running her family business since she was 20. She's incredibly sharp and fast, with zero tolerance for nonsense during any of her meetings. Even the old foxes on the board are too intimidated to utter a word. My dad always sighs. If you had even half of Shen Yuan's drive, I could have retired early. I usually just sip my tea, to each his own. She loves her career, and I love slacking off. Anyway, my dad is healthy, so I don't have to stress. I just hold a cushy, idle title, dropping by to drink tea, sign a few papers, and grab free food at the cafeteria. My philosophy: never stand if you can lie down. That night, we lay in bed, scrolling on our phones. The lights were out, leaving only the warm glow of the nightstand lamp. Suddenly a text popped up from Li Zhao. "President Xia, why weren't you at work today? Are you sick? Is sister-in-law taking care of you?" Followed by a sad cat emoji. Before I could even type, a hand reached over and snatched my phone. Shen Yuan glanced at it and burst out laughing. She cooed in a mock-whiny voice. "Big brother, she cares so much about you." She smirked. "Must be so tough being married to me." I lazily reached out to grab my phone back. "Are you insane?" She dodged and actually replied, "Yeah, my wife oppresses me every day. What is wrong with you?" I grumbled as her shoulders shook with laughter. Just then, her phone buzzed. I glanced at a screen and caught the sender's name. Song Ming. Your old flame is texting you." Shen Yuan froze. I snatched her phone before she could. The message read, "I'm returning next week. Free to pick me up. Let's gather some old classmates for dinner." I raised an eyebrow. The grand return of the white moonlight. Am I about to get cheated on? Shen Yuan lunged for her phone. "Stop messing around, Xiayan." I held it high out of reach. "What's the rush?" "Xiayan, give it back." Laughing, I typed a reply. "She's asleep. Too tired from earlier. I'll have a reply tomorrow." Sent. Complete silence for 2 seconds. Then, she kicked my shin hard. Are you insane? Just helping you maintain your married woman persona. Who told you to send that? I smiled. What? Scared your old flame will misunderstand. She sneered. Not everyone is a magnet for trouble like you. I tossed it back. Takes one to know one. She stared at her screen. After a moment she grumbled. What did you mean by too tired? I closed my eyes and smiled. Take a wild guess. You are seriously begging for a beating. I didn't reply. Exhaustion washed over me, and I quickly drifted off. Half asleep I kept hearing my phone buzzing with notifications. I vaguely heard Shen Yuan giggling, apparently having a blast texting Li Zhao on my behalf. The next morning I reached for my phone. I opened WeChat, only to find the entire chat history completely wiped clean. Beside me, Shen Yuan was still fast asleep, likely because she stayed up so late, curled under the blanket with only half her face showing and messy hair on the pillow. She looked nothing like the fierce CEO. I pinched her soft cheek. She groaned, frowning, and pulled the blanket over her head. In a surprisingly good mood, I got ready and headed to the office. Entering the lobby, the receptionist stood up. Good morning, President Xia. Employees greeted me along the way. Morning, President Xia. You're early today. I nodded, hand in my pocket. Honestly, being called President Xia never gets old. It's an instant mood booster. In my office, I brewed some tea. I'd barely sat down for 2 minutes when there was a knock. Come in. Li Zhao poked her head through the door, wearing a white dress and light makeup. She looked at me with a surprisingly complicated expression. It looked like a mix of sympathy and pity. I was completely baffled. Li Zhao crept inside and sat right next to me. Big brother, she started, hesitating before lowering her voice to a whisper. Don't worry, I will keep your secret. I froze, utterly confused. My secret? Her eyes filled with even more pity. Big brother, character is what truly matters in a man. That department teat isn't everything. She patted my arm. Besides, medicine is advanced now. It can be treated. Sister-in-law might care, but my brain went blank. Suddenly it all clicked. Face darkening. I gritted my teeth. Sister-in-law might care, but I took a deep breath. Get out. Li Zhao gave me an encouraging look. You've got this, big brother. She even pumped her fist to cheer me on before leaving. I sat there, laughing from pure rage. Perfect. You're dead, Shen Yuan. That night, the moment I kicked off my shoes, she called out from the sofa. Oh, big brother is back, eating grapes cross-legged. She smirked. How was your chat with Li Zhao? Need me to clear out for her? I stared at her, then grinned. Jassy wait. She didn't take me seriously, just mockingly raising her chin. Midnight came, and the room was dead silent. Shen Yuan was drifting off. I reached over and nudged her awake. Eyes closed, she muttered. What? Do you love me? The room fell silent. She didn't even open her eyes, and muttered, Are you insane? She rolled over. I shook her again. Do you love me or not? Annoyed, she snapped. Xia Yan, what is wrong with you? I have an early meeting tomorrow. I wouldn't budge. Answer me first. Finally forced awake, she sat up, hair completely messy. Her face was a mask of sheer irritation. What do you want? I stared at her. Are you still in love with Song Ming? Do you love me? She gasped. What? That graduation photo, I said casually, leaning back. You still keep it in your drawer. She looked at me, completely baffled. Are you out of your mind? When did we ever love? I just threw that photo in there. Besides, she rolled her eyes. Song Ming just chased me for a bit. I never agreed, so you don't love me. She took a deep breath, pulling the blanket up. I'm sleeping. Don't bother me. I rolled over and pinned her down, making the mattress sink. Instantly alert, she pushed my shoulders. Xia Yan, what are you doing? I stared down, my voice hoarse. Didn't you tell Li Zhao I'm useless? Tonight I'll show you exactly how capable I am. I leaned down and kissed her. Shen Yuan panicked, turning her head as her breathing turned chaotic. Are you crazy? Yeah, driven crazy by you. I pinned her wrists to the pillow. She tried to struggle, but she stood no chance. I locked both her hands down with one of mine, leaving her helpless. I buried my face in her neck, breathing in her post-shower scent. As my warm breath brushed her collarbone, she shuddered. Xia Yan, her voice lost its hard edge. Ignoring her, I let my hand slide slowly up her waist, undoing her buttons. When my fingertips brushed her skin, her entire body went rigid. You've really lost it. I chuckled softly. We've been married a year. It's time we finally consummated this, wife. Her ears turned crimson. Before she could speak, I silenced her again. The room grew warm, our breathing. She pushed at me initially, but her strength quickly faded, her grip on my shirt slowly loosening. As I kissed her, I felt her breathing grow tighter. The dim, warm light of the lamp cast a soft glow across her face. Her flushed eyes and trembling lashes made her look entirely different from the cold CEO she usually was. I stared at her, whispering close. Still think I'm useless? President Shen. She bit her lip, silent. I kissed her again, teasing, until she finally broke. She turned her head and whispered a soft curse, her voice melting. My throat tightened as my hand slid further down her waist. She went rigid, clutching the bedsheets. With her voice trembling, I leaned close to her ear. She closed her eyes, breathing heavily, her breath ragged for a long time. Finally, she softly whispered, "Be gentle." The next morning, I was kicked awake by Shen Yuan. Squinting, I saw her leaning against the headboard, her hair messy and her face slightly sour. "What's wrong?" I rasped, my throat hoarse. She glared at me. "Xia Yan, you're a bastard." I chuckled. "What did I do? How could you?" Her ears flushed pink, clearly remembering last night. I lazily rolled over and pulled her into my arms. "We've been married for a year. It's about time our relationship bloomed." I nuzzled her hair. "Besides," I said, entirely reasonable, "I'm a grown man sleeping next to a gorgeous woman every day. Holding back is torture." Fuming, she kicked me again. "You still think you're right? Next time, discuss it first." I held her tight, grinning. "We can discuss it now. Can we continue?" Shen Yuan froze, then bit my shoulder. "Drop dead," I gasped. "Are you a dog?" She glared at me. "Let go. I need to work." I didn't budge. Her face went darker. "Xiang, my whole body is sore. How can you be so shameless?" I finally laughed, letting go. All right. Half an hour into our drive, Shen Yuan was slumped in the passenger seat, frowning hard. She looked miserable. I glanced over, laughing. She glared. "What do you think?" I shut up. Halfway there, she suddenly said, "Next week I'm driving you. Want to come to my class reunion?" she asked. My hand jerked on the steering wheel. "Are you really planning to cheat on me?" Shen Yuan punched my arm. "I am just having dinner." She leaned back. "You can just come along." "Forget it. I don't know anyone there. But I'll pick you up instead." Shen Yuan hummed in agreement. Near her office, she went to get out, then paused. Turning to me blankly, she said, "Oh right, buy me some pajamas." I laughed. "Don't you have plenty?" She glared coldly. "And who tore yesterday's pair to shreds? Do you have no clue?" The reunion was at a high-end club. When Shen Yuan arrived, the room was already packed. The moment she pushed open the door, everyone cheered. "Our star beauty is here. Still gorgeous after all these years. President Shen is so famous now, we could barely invite her." Shen Yuan smiled, setting her bag aside. Traffic was terrible. She wore a long black dress today, hair draped over her shoulders, looking as powerful as ever, but her cold beauty only reminded everyone of college, when she was the ultimate ice queen of the finance department. Her suitors lined up from the classrooms to the track. Song Ming had been her most passionate pursuer. Soon, the door opened again. Song Ming had arrived. The crowd went wild. "The star of the night, our elite heard some overseas firm offered you 10 million a year." Song Ming laughed, waving it off. He looked just like he did in college. The moment he sat down, someone teased, "Hey, didn't you and Shen Yuan almost end up together?" The room went quiet for 2 seconds before erupted. "Oh yes, Song Ming chased her like crazy. He brought her breakfast every day. I was so jealous." I still remember that forum confession. "You two were the perfect match." Shen Yuan leaned back, sipping her wine in silence. Then someone asked, "Hey, why'd you get married so suddenly? Was it a forced family alliance?" The air turned tense. Song Ming looked up, his gaze lingering. Shen Yuan swirled her glass, her voice flat. "I got married. That is all. Why ask? But with too much alcohol, nobody read the room. We have never seen your husband. Is he just some rich heir? There is no love in business marriages. It is just a transaction. College love was pure. Song Ming really loved you." Song Ming smiled, not denying it, making the mood even heavier. Later, they moved to a dark karaoke room, filled with alcohol fumes and blasting music. Shen Yuan sat in the corner, visibly losing her patience. But Song Ming sat right next to her with a drink, his face flushed. She frowned. "Need something?" Song Ming looked at her and chuckled softly. "Remember college? Whenever you stayed up for projects, I always brought you coffee. Your stomach was bad, so I watched you eat breakfast every day." His voice dropped. "I always knew you didn't marry willingly. Your family forced you, right?" Shen Yuan remained silent, her expression freezing over. Emboldened by alcohol, Song Ming suddenly reached out to touch her. "Actually, all these years, I still..." Before he could finish, Shen Yuan slid away. Keeping a distance, her eyes went dark. "Song Ming, show some respect." He froze, and the room went quiet. Shen Yuan set her glass down, her voice calm but freezing. "I am married." Someone tried to clear the air. "Hey, we are all just drunk. It is a joke." But another troublemaker piped up. "Seriously, what is so great about that arranged husband? If not for your family, you would definitely be with Song Ming. Besides, in these corporate marriages, everyone plays around anyway." Shen Yuan said nothing, her expression turning glacial. Suddenly she slammed her glass down and stormed out of the room. Actually, before the reunion even finished, my phone had already rung with her call. I was slouched on the couch gaming when my phone buzzed. I answered, "All done." Silence stretched for 2 seconds before her quiet voice came through. "Where are you?" I instantly knew something was off. This woman usually sounds like she is running a board meeting. Why so fragile? I grabbed my keys. "Wait at the entrance." 20 minutes later I saw her outside the club. The night wind was chilly. She stood alone on the steps, her black dress fluttering. She still looked proud and aloof, but somehow, she also looked incredibly vulnerable. I pulled up and rolled down the window. Shen Yuan climbed into the passenger seat. Unusually quiet. Normally, we would be trading sarcastic banter, but tonight, there was dead silence. I glanced over. What's wrong? Leaning against the window, she just mumbled a quiet response. Shouldn't you be happy seeing old friends? I teased. Why the long face? She bit her lip. Nothing. I scoffed gently. Who upset you? She stayed silent, just fidgeting with her seatbelt. After staring for a moment, I reached over and pinched her cheek. Talk to me. Startled by the pinch, she glared at me. Well, I nodded casually. My specialty is curing stubborn mouths. Annoyed, she finally reacted, turning away to mutter, childish. Back home, she was still down. She did not even kick off her favorite heels like she normally does. Instead, she placed them neatly in the cabinet. I chuckled. Are you really that triggered? She ignored me, showered, and went straight to bed. Under the dim wall light, she lay facing away, not even touching her phone. It was unlike her. I watched her, then scooted closer, wrapping my arms around her from behind. She stiffened, let go. Her voice was muffled. Instead, I pulled her tighter, resting my chin on her shoulder. No can do. My wife is upset, so I have to comfort her. Her ears blushed, but she still struggled. It's hot, she complained. I murmured against her skin, slipping my hand under her pajamas to rest on her waist. I will cool you down then. She froze. Xia Yan. I laughed, glad she was talking. She tried to elbow me, but her strength felt like a tickle. I turned her around to face me. In the warm light, her eyes were slightly red, maybe from the alcohol. My heart softened. Gently squeezing her cheek, I asked, what really happened? This time, she paused for a long while before speaking. They kept talking about Song Ming. They said if not for this alliance, I should be with him. But back then, it was just his unrequited crush. I said nothing, leaning down to tuck her hair behind her ear. Her voice fell lower. They said corporate marriages have no love. That for people like us, marriage is just a deal where we play our own games. She paused, looking up at me. Have you ever wondered what our marriage actually is? The room fell silent. She usually acts completely indifferent, so seeing her this serious was rare. I reached out and flicked her forehead. She clutched her forehead, glaring. What was that for? To wake you up. I pulled her close, my nose brushing hers. You believe everything they say? She stayed quiet. I chuckled. Besides, who told you we don't have feelings? Sure, we used to be strangers, but now... I paused, my fingers slowly massaging the back of her neck. We are sleeping in the same bed. How is that not love? Her face flushed. She raised a hand to hit me, but I caught it, gently kissing her fingertips. She froze, completely forgetting to struggle. Her flushed ears were adorable. Mischievously, I leaned down to gently bite her up. Besides, didn't you call me first? It means when you're hurt, I am the first person you think of. Her breath hitched, her voice growing soft. Maybe we could try something, try dating seriously, like a normal married couple. She stared at me, speechless. I pinched her cheek. Frozen. She finally snapped out of it and wrapped her arms around me. It was a bit awkward, like she wasn't used to relying on someone, but she held on tight. I chuckled, running my fingers through her long hair. Finally realized how good your husband is. Buried in my chest, she muttered. Shameless, but her voice was incredibly soft. I kissed her forehead. So, President Shen, want to get to know each other all over again. How do we do that? We start with dating. Next weekend I will take you shopping. She stared at me, then let out a soft, genuine laugh, different from her usual teasing. My heart skipped a beat. She wrapped her arms around my neck, leaning in close. She planted a quick kiss on my lips. Sure. The next morning, she left for work. At the entryway, she paused to adjust her cuffs. Looking back, she walked over and kissed my cheek. I will come home early. Let's eat out. I froze, and before I could react, she was already walking out in her heels. I touched my cheek, grinning. But before the joy could even settle, a black sedan pulled up. I peeked outside. A man in a suit got out. I narrowed my eyes. I slowly walked over. Song Ming stood there, smiling politely. Hi, is Shen Yuan home? I am an old college friend. I leaned against the doorframe, amused. This bastard dared to challenge me. Knowing he was the one who chased my wife, I sized him up with a warm, welcoming smile. An elegant smile stiffened. I stepped aside. Since you are here, come on in. He wasn't shy, sitting on the sofa and crossing his legs to size up the place. I sneered inwardly. This guy really had nerve, but I kept a pleasant smile on my face. I was extra hospitable. Make yourself comfortable. I will grab us some drinks. He nodded. Thanks. Smiling, I walked out, locking the door from the outside. I headed straight to the store. 3 bottles of prune juice, a pack of laxatives, and a few raw eggs. I felt great checking out. Back at the house, I walked over to his car. I slowly cracked the eggs, pouring the whites down his tailpipe and into his windshield gaps. When I finally went inside, Song Ming smiled at me. I beamed back with absolute sincerity. Then I went to the kitchen, poured the prune juice into a glass, dumped half a pack of laxatives inside, and stirred. I brought it out, nothing else in the house. This will have to do. He took a sip. Tastes good. Drink up if you like it. I sat across from him, setting his cup down. He asked casually, "How's your relationship with Shen Yuan?" Here it comes. I chuckled inside but sighed. Just, you know how business marriages are. I leaned back. Married for a year, separate beds, we do our own thing. I don't even care if she brings men home. Song Ming tried to look calm, but his eye twitched. Shen Yuan isn't that kind of person, is she? I shrugged. Who knows? We are both adults. We just get by. Then I naturally pushed the juice closer to him. Drink up. He took another big gulp, then started probing. You don't eat together. Does she stay out late? Was she unwilling to marry? With every lie I told, his face grew a little darker. Yet, I played my part with absolute sincerity. I even sighed lazily. Nothing I can do. Who knows if she has someone else in her heart? Right then, the laxatives kicked in. He stiffened, slowly bending over, his face turning pale. Holding back my laughter, I put on a look of deep concern. Song Ming forced a weak smile. Can I use your restroom? I looked apologetic. Ah, bad luck. It is broken. Sweat beaded on his forehead. Any public restrooms nearby? I shrugged. In a villa district. No chance. He bolted up, unable to sit still. I must go. I grabbed his arm. Don't go. Let's chat more and wait for my wife to get off work. His face was white, but he forced a smile. Next time, don't be polite, I said warmly. Sweat poured down his face and I could see him visibly shaking. My temples were throbbing, but I refused to let go, dragging it out for another 10 minutes. Once I saw he could barely clamp his legs together, I finally showed some mercy. All right, I won't see you out. Song Ming practically bolted, looking utterly pathetic. I stood at the door, watching him stumble. He scrambled into the driver's seat. Cold sweat drenched Song Ming's forehead as his stomach churned like a blender, wave after wave. Gritting his teeth, he fumbled with his seatbelt, cursing under his breath. Damn it, something was definitely wrong with that drink. But right now, he couldn't care about any of that. Now all he wanted was a bathroom. But as soon as the car started, a faint, foul odor drifted in. Song Ming frowned. What is that? He sniffed his clothes enough. But after driving 2 more meters, the stench grew thicker, like something fermenting, pungent and rancid. His face turned green. What a piece of trash rental. But the churning in his gut was getting terrifying, sending chills down his spine. If he didn't find a restroom, he'd explode. He slammed on the gas, rushing out of the residential area, only to hit a red light. The red light was glaring, a 300-second countdown. His eyes widened. 5 minutes. Who the hell could wait that long? His stomach rumbled violently again. Song Ming's face went deathly pale. He couldn't hold it anymore. It was about to erupt. Clenching his butt, sweat poured down his forehead. Sweat beaded on his skin as he gripped the steering wheel. Screw it. He slammed the gas and ran the light. But the moment his car shot into the intersection, a black Range Rover cut across. With a deafening crash, they collided, and the airbags instantly deployed. The impact left Song Ming dizzy, his ears ringing, and his stomach hurting even worse. The Range Rover's door slammed open. A heavily tattooed guy, built like a bear, stormed out. Are you blind? Running a red light and hitting me. Song Ming dragged himself out of the car. His face was contorted in pain. He squeezed his legs together, shivering as he got out. Bro, please, I have a massive emergency. Can we deal with this later? The tattooed guy looked at his dented hood and blew a fuse. You hit my car and want to run. Song Ming's face was white as a sheet, his legs clamped tight in a bizarre posture. I'll come back and pay. I promise. But the giant grabbed him by the collar. Cut the crap. Nobody's leaving today. Onlookers were already gathering. Look, an accident. He ran a red light. Damn, why is that guy so pale? Song Ming was losing his mind. It felt like his intestines were snapping. Bro, I beg you. I really can't hold it. The tattooed guy blinked. What do you mean? Lips trembling. Song Ming squeaked. Bathroom, I need a bathroom. The crowd went silent. Suddenly, someone burst out laughing. Oh my god, he crashed because he had to pee. Wait, with his legs clamped like that, is he about to poop? Song Ming's face flushed crimson. Shut up. Just then, sirens wailed. The police had arrived. Song Ming's heart sank. He was completely doomed. He couldn't leave now. The officer stepped out. Who ran the red light? The tattooed guy immediately pointed at Song Ming. He crashed into me and tried to run. The officer walked over, frowning. License, please. Sweat poured down Song Ming's face. He couldn't even form a coherent sentence. Aye, before he could speak, the storm in his gut completely broke loose. A loud, wet, unmistakable sound shattered the silence. Song Ming froze on the spot. Then, an unspeakable odor began to drift. Every single face in the crowd instantly stiffened. The tattooed guy, the offers of the onlookers. Seconds later, they exploded. Holy crap, he actually crapped himself. It stinks. Get back. This guy is a walking biological hazard. The crowd panicked, backing away in unison. Only Song Ming stood frozen in place. His face went from red to white, then white to a sickly green. He was completely broken. But his bowels refused to stop, making wet, sputtering noises. Onlookers plugged their noses, cursing. What a biological weapon. Stay away. Others pulled out their phones. Quick, film this. This guy is a legend. Running a red light, crashing, and shitting his pants on the street. First time seeing this, flashbulbs went off. Song Ming stood in the center, his face like ash, stuff dripping down his pants. Of course, I had no intention of letting him off that easily. After all, who doesn't have a few connections abroad? The next day I had someone look into him, and the results were hilarious. Later, Shen Yuan and I were lounging in bed. He was checking emails. I was gaming. Suddenly a local news notification popped up on my phone. Man runs red light, crashes, and relieves himself publicly, drawing crowd. I tapped it and snorted. Shen Yuan frowned. What's wrong with you now? I pulled him close, shoving the screen in his face. Look at your white moonlight's news. Even pixelated, that familiar suit was unmistakable. The face shape, the pathetic, leg-clamping post. Who else could it be but Song Ming? Shen Yuan looked for 2 seconds, and his expression soured. Get that away from me. It's disgusting. My shoulders shook with laughter. Oh, the returned elite now doing street performances. Shen Yuan threw a pillow at me. Shut up. His ears were red. I pulled him into my arms, resting my chin on his shoulder. Isn't he your white moonlight? Shen Yuan glared. What white moonlight? Stop reading those cheesy novels. I laughed. Sure enough, over the next few days, Song Ming started hounding Shen Yuan, spamming WeChat, calling constantly, even waiting outside his office. Shen Yuan was so annoyed. That night, he threw his phone onto the bed. I really want to block him. Hearing this, I sat straight up. Shen Yuan frowned. I smiled lazily. But I'm not done playing yet. He stared. He squinted at me. Are you planning something wicked again? I looked innocent. Am I that kind of person? Shen Yuan sneered. Yes, you are. After that, things got ridiculous. Every night, we leaned against the headboard, him using my phone to chat with Li Zhao, while I used his to chat with Song Ming. The scene was bizarrely peaceful. Li Zhao texted, Brother, did you miss me today? Shen Yuan replied on my behalf with a cold face. Miss you? Stay away from my husband. I was laughing hysterically. Meanwhile, Song Ming's texts flooded in. Yuan, I'm in trouble. Can you help me? I'm really at my wit's end. Leaning back, I typed lazily, what's wrong? He immediately began venting about his failed overseas startup, lost investments, and partners running off with his cash. Finally, he hinted, actually, I've ended up in some debt, and if I don't pay, they might come after me. I see. But my source told me this scumbag actually gambled it all away, abroad, and owed loan. Sharks unable to cover his tracks, he turned to Shen Yuan, expecting him to be I laughed after reading, and Shen Yuan leaned over. Is he out of his mind? Yes, I nodded. Poverty-stricken. Shen Yuan frowned. How did I never realize he was like this? I leaned back lazily. Because you didn't have a husband before. Now, I filter out the trash for you. Shen Yuan rolled his eyes. The room fell quiet. Shen Yuan snuggled lazily against me, his hair spilling over my chest. Playing with his hair, I suddenly suggested, why don't we introduce Song Ming to Li Zhao? Shen Yuan half asleep opened his eyes. I analyzed seriously. One wants money, the other does too. They're a perfect match. I chuckled. Li Zhao isn't even that bad, he just liked your wealth. I smirked. Isn't Song Ming the same? Shen Yuan thought it over, then slowly nodded. True. He rolled over, snuggling back into my chest, murmuring sleepily, do whatever you want. Today was our date day. But Shen Yuan wanted to stay in. I slept until noon, waking up to an empty bed. The sound of the coffee machine drifted from the kitchen. I padded out in my slippers and saw him by the window checking emails. No stiff suit today, just a gray knit sweater and messy hair. A pair of gold-rimmed glasses rested on his nose. The sunlight hit his profile, making him look unusually gentle. Leaning against the doorframe, I watched him for a moment, thinking this guy was really handsome. Without even looking up, Shen Yuan muttered, stared enough. I smiled. How did you know? Because your breathing sounds like a creep's. That afternoon we went to the supermarket simply because Shen Yuan said the fridge was empty. He pushed the cart while I tossed in random snacks. Chips, ice cream, sodas. He put them all back with a blank face. How old are you? 26. I thought you were 6. Leaning against a shelf, I sighed. Married men really lose all snack privileges. Keep talking and you'll lose dinner privileges too. Later, passing the couples section, I stopped. Shen Yuan, busy looking at detergent, walked ahead. He turned around, and his expression instantly froze. A whole shelf of little boxes was neatly displayed. Buying some. His ears turned bright red. Are you out of your mind? I picked up a box. We're running low at home, aren't we? He lowered his voice, clearly flustered as people passed by. His usual composure shattered completely. I kept teasing him why the blushing. It's not like we haven't done it. Gritting his teeth, his face dark, he snatched the box from my hand and tossed it into the cart, moving like a thief. I stood there laughing, but the next second, he suddenly stepped on my foot. Keep laughing and you're sleeping on the couch tonight. On our drive back, it started raining. Not heavy, but a steady patter against the windows. The parking lot was dimly lit. I parked the car but didn't move to get out. Shen Yuan reached down to unbuckle his seatbelt. The moment it clicked, I reached over and pressed him back. He paused. Leaning in, I braced my hand beside him, trapping him in the passenger seat of the cramped cabin. The faint scent of cedarwood from my clothes immediately enveloped him. Shen Yuan's eyelashes fluttered. You're too close. I chuckled softly. I leaned in closer, my breath brushing against his lips. He was clearly flustered for a split second, yet he still tried to maintain a cold facade. What's wrong with you now? I looked down at him, slowly tucking his loose hair behind his ear. My finger brushed his earlobe and his body went rigid. The rain drummed outside, but inside was dead silent. I stared at his flushed ear and whispered, "You kissed me today." He froze, then quickly looked away. It was just an accident. I nearly laughed. An accident? You seemed pretty practiced. His ears burned redder. He pushed me. Are you annoying? But his strength was useless. I caught his wrist, pinning it to the seat, and looked down. We were so close, our breathing tangled together. Shen Yuan finally cracked under the pressure, his voice softening. What do you actually want? I stared at his lips for a second, then leaned down and pressed mine to his. A light, testing kiss. His breath hitched, his fingers tightening, but I didn't pull away, resting my forehead against his. I chuckled. So you actually get nervous, President Shen. His ears were completely red, but he remained stubborn. Who's nervous? I hummed, then leaned in for another kiss. This one was deeper. As my lips brushed over his whole body trembled. He really didn't know how to kiss. His breathing was messy from the start, and he could only clutch my shirt. I paused, whispering, "Don't know how to breathe." The corners of his eyes were red. "Shut up," he murmured, his soft voice devoid of threat. I leaned in again. The rain grew heavier, fogging the windows. The dim street lights couldn't penetrate the glass. Trapped in the passenger seat, his breathing grew shallower and more hectic. He lost the strength to push me away, only tilting his head back to yield. My hand slid around his waist, pulling him closer. He gasped softly, trembling. I rubbed my nose against his. He closed his eyes, his eyelashes fluttering wildly. After a few seconds he whispered, "We're in the parking lot." But I didn't care. The next time I heard about Song Ming and Li Xiao was 2 months later. A friend of mine texted me while I was gaming on the couch. A text popped up. "I've been keeping an eye on those two like you asked. Got some amazing gossip." I called him right away. He was laughing hysterically. They broke up, completely ruined. That's when I learned that they had hooked up shortly after meeting. In the beginning, they both put on a hell of an act. Song Ming bragged daily about his overseas startup and elite connections, promising an easy comeback. Meanwhile, Li Xiao filled her social media with rented sports cars and fake designer bags. One played the rich guy, the other the heiress, and they actually fooled each other. At first, they were glued to each other. Song Ming thought he scored a rich heiress, while Li Xiao thought she landed a permanent meal ticket. But the honeymoon ended fast. Song Ming started dropping hints to borrow cash, blaming cash flow issues one day and frozen foreign bank accounts in the next. Then it was debt collectors. Li Xiao tried to act generous, but she couldn't actually produce any cash. Somehow, they ended up snooping through each other's phones, and the whole thing blew up. The luxury cars were internet photos, the designer bags were cheap, and those 5-star hotel check-ins were just paid social media packages. Song Ming was even worse. His overseas business went bust long ago, leaving him in massive debt, renting his apartment by the day. My friend was laughing so hard on the phone. You have no idea. Li Xiao totally flipped, screaming she slept with a broke gambler for nothing. Song Ming snapped back, calling her a fake heiress. They kept screaming at each other. I was sitting on my couch, totally distracted from my video game, and then I asked. Then Li Xiao threatened to sue him for rape. I almost spat my water everywhere. My friend was absolutely losing it. Song Ming is no saint either. He claimed he recorded videos and threatened to leak them if she made. Asina went quiet for 2 seconds, then said they were a match made in hell. After hanging up, I leaned back, laughing. Just then, Shen Yuan stepped out of the shower, hair still wet, drying his hair. He frowned at me. "What are you losing your mind over now?" I waved him over. "Come hear this gossip." When I finished the story, Shen Yuan just stared. After a long pause, he muttered, "That is terrifying." I reached out, pulling him straight into my lap. He quickly propped his hands on my shoulders. Looking down at him, I said quite seriously, "Lucky you married me." He blinked, and I added, "Otherwise, an idiot like that would have given you a heart attack by now." Shen Yuan burst out laughing, resting his forehead against my shoulder, his frame shaking. "You have a wicked tongue," he whispered as I held him. I leaned down to kiss his hair. By the end of the year, we finally took our vacation together. He had been working overtime for 2 weeks, still on a video call in the study at 2 a.m. I got up for water and saw him in his pajamas, eyes totally bloodshot. So I walked straight over and snapped his laptop shut. He frowned, looking up. "I'm kidnapping you," I said. He gave me a look that said, "You're losing it again." But the next day, I actually booked flights to a snowy northern coast. He stared at the itinerary in silence, finally asking, "When did you plan this?" I leaned back on the sofa, peeling a tangerine. "Last month. Didn't you say you wanted to see snow by the sea?" He froze, clearly not expecting me to remember. He had only mentioned it once while scrolling through videos of a winter ocean, deep blue waves, heavy snow, and streetlights shining on the white beach. He had whispered, "That looks beautiful," and I kept it in mind. When we left, winter had fully set in. As the plane landed, everything outside was pure white. Shen Yuan stood at the exit, wrapped in a thick scarf, his nose pink from the cold. He usually acts so distant and aloof, but that day, he was actually excited, watching the snowfall. "It's really snowing." I looked at him, finding it hilarious that a grown man in his 20s could be so thrilled. Our hotel was right on the coast, with floor-to-ceiling windows. That night, the wind howled as waves crashed against the shore. In the distance, a lighthouse cast a warm yellow glow. The snow kept falling. We went out for a walk along the beach. He was bundled up in a long white down jacket, leaving only his eyes visible. We hadn't gone far when he suddenly stopped, pointing out toward the water. Someone was setting off fireworks. Bright bursts lit up the snowy shore. Looking down at him, I caught the reflection of the lights in his eyes. It gave me a strange feeling. I used to think marriage was just coexisting, but now, I realized spending all my future years with him sounded perfect. Would actually be pretty great. By the time we got back, Shen Yuan was shivering, pulling off his scarf. "Why is it so cold here?" I laughed from behind him. "And who insisted on seeing snow?" He spun around to glare, but I just pulled him flush against my chest from behind. He gasped. "Just keeping you warm," I murmured, rubbing my cheek against his freezing ear. He tried to shrink away, but I only held him tighter. The room was incredibly warm. Under his downcoat, he only wore a thin sweater, and I could feel the curve of his waist under my palms. After a moment, the tips of his ears flushed pink. "Keep your hands to yourself." "What hands?" I teased. He didn't answer, but his hand pressed over mine, which had already slid under his sweater. As my palm touched his bare skin, he shivered. Outside, the snow fell against the dark window reflection. Only a single warm lamp lit the room, making the silence feel heavy and intimate. He looked up, our faces close enough that our breaths mingled. My throat tightened as I whispered, "Still cold." Shen Yuan probably felt his ears burning, but he just glared, refusing to back down. The next second, I leaned in and kissed him. He stumbled back, his waist pressing against the glass. Outside, the storm raged, but inside was burning hot. He tried to push my shoulders at first, but his strength quickly faded, leaving him clutching my shirt, breathing softly. I laughed against his lips. "You're still terrible at kissing, President Shen." The corners of his eyes flushed red as I pinned his wrists. "You're so annoying," he snapped, but his soft voice lacked any real bite. I stared at his flushed face, then kissed the tip of his nose, trailing my lips slowly downward to his neck, his breathing completely fractured. "The curtains," he gasped. I glanced at the window. The distant coastal lights were still visible. "Scared someone will see," I teased. His ears flushed bright red. "Are you insane?" I chuckled, finally reaching out to pull the heavy curtains shut. The thick fabric blocked out the winter storm. The room fell completely quiet, leaving only the sound of our breathing. Exhausted, Shen Yuan slumped against me, forehead resting on my shoulder. I stroked his hair. "Want to do this again next year?" He was quiet, then wrapped his arms around me. Outside, the snow kept falling, and the waves crashed one after another.